Good morning. I'm Pastor Steve of the Warrior Christian Fellowship. I'm glad you're part of our devotion today. I hope you find these devotions helpful. I enjoy doing them. It's a good time for me to have my own devotional time and then share it with you. This morning I read in James in chapter 2, verse 8. It says, if you are willing to fulfill the royal law, according to the scriptures, you shall love your neighbor as yourself, you are doing well. And verse 9 says, but if you show partiality, you are committing sin and are convicted by the law as transgressors. Now that's a pretty powerful statement. Not to show partiality to certain groups, to certain others, but to love your neighbor as yourself. You know, Jesus had told us in Matthew 22, verse 39, that we should love our neighbors as ourselves. That's the second greatest commandment. The first was to love God, and the other is to love our neighbors as ourselves, to show love and compassion to us. And so he asked the question, who is my neighbor? Is it the person that lives next door to me? Is it people in my neighborhood? Is it somebody I work with? Is it somebody that sits next to me in church? I mean, what constitutes my neighbor? I mean, just how far does that go? You know, I don't even know some of my neighbors, which is sad, but it's a reality. It used to be you knew everybody in your neighborhood, but now you don't. We have become more in-home and less social. But in Luke chapter 10, in the story of the Good Samaritan, Jesus pretty well covers who our neighbor is. That story is about a man traveling down a road, and he finds a guy on the roadside that's injured. This guy picks this guy up, helps him, spends his own money and his own resources to help this guy. Now, he doesn't know this guy. He doesn't know who he is. He doesn't know anything about him. He just knows that he's a stranger that's in help. He's in need. And this man loves him, and he takes care of him. You know, when we think about how God has loved us, should we not love others in the same fashion, in the same manner? It's not always easy. But anyone can love people that's easy to love. Anyone can love people they know very well. Some people can't love people they know very well. But the Bible says that we should love our neighbors ourselves. And Jesus clarifies that as in the story of the Samaritan, as that could be anyone. Anyone that crosses our path, anyone else we see. That word neighbor just means really, Jesus is just saying to love others as ourselves. You know, we should love one another as we love ourselves. And that's a very strong command. You know, I've told God, you know, it's easy to love the people that you've commanded me to love. But the world promotes hate and division. But God commands us to love one another with a love that unites us. I still think the problem we have in our society today with all the racial tension and the political distrust is all due to the fact that we don't love anymore. We don't love one another. You know, we shouldn't be Democrat or Republican. We should be Americans and working for the good of our country. We shouldn't be Baptists or Presbyterians or Methodists or Catholic. We should love one another as we all worship God. We shouldn't let peripherals separate us from our centrality. When you pray, ask God to help you to love others as much as you have loved me. God, let me love others as much as you have loved me. And not because I'm not always lovable, but God loved me anyhow. That word, so God so loved the world in John 3:16, that word love, agape, means an anyhow type of love. Regardless of who I've been, regardless of what I've done, God loved me because God is love. And the Bible says, he who does not love does not know God because God is love. Learn to love one another. It makes all the difference in the world, and you will live better for it, and God will bless that in your life. I hope this was helpful to you today, and I hope you tune in again tomorrow. May God bless your day.